friends, you're watching Android Tech Solutions, and today in this video I'm going to show you how can we configure a DNS name server in Ubuntu. So basically I'm going to show you the complete server-side and client-side configuration in Ubuntu. So the basic pre-requirements are we must have a static host name and a static IP address. I'll show you how to configure a static host name and a static static IP address, and then we will configure the main configuration of DNS server. So now let us start. So first of all, you have to run this command hostname ctl, okay, to check your host name. So my host name over here is server.example.com. So basically here we are going to configure a domain name with example.com. okay. So in my host name I have a prefix or suffix of example.com. okay. So like you have to create with like another domain name like linux.com or any other domain name. So here you have to give your host name. okay. So to configure host name, you have to run the following command, which is hostname ctl set hostname server. I'm giving server.example.com. You have to run this command, okay, to configure hostname. okay. After server, you have to give your domain name which you have to create. Here I am creating with example.com. okay. After that, you have to run this command if config. So here you can see the two interfaces. This is the loopback and is the main NIC, okay, the network interface card in my system. okay. So you too might have a network interface card, but your NIC name might be different. okay. So my NIC name is this, and I have a static IP address also. okay. So I'll show you how to configure a static IP address. So your NIC card name might be different. okay. So you have to go to this file sudo nano/etc network and then in interface. okay. Sudo nano/etc network interfaces. okay. Okay, inside this file you have to give these 4 lines. okay. First is auto, then the NIC card name, which is ENS3 in my side. So you have to give your NIC name over here. okay. After that, interface name, which is ENS3, and then INET is static because we are configuring a static IP address. And then address, I'm giving 172.251.11 as my IP address. You can give anything, and I've given netmask. okay. Now just write and quit from this file. This is the configuration of network interface. After that, you have to just restart the service, which is systemctl restart networking. okay. If you face any error after restarting the networking service, then you have to just reboot your machine. okay. After you reboot your machine, then also just try to restart the networking service. If it is okay, then go ahead. okay. So after the two configuration of host name and the IP address, you will get a static IP address also and a host name also. Now we are ready to configure DNS server. okay. So first of all, you have to update your apt-get repositories. So sudo apt-get update. I have already updated my repositories. First of all, you have to run that command sudo apt-get update, and after that you have to run this command sudo apt-get install bind9 and bind9 utils. okay. So these are the two packages which you have to install in the server side, which are bind9 and bind9 utils. So you have to run this command sudo apt-get install bind9 and bind9 utils. okay. Now you will go into cd/etc bind, and I'll do ls over here. So here you will find many files. So we have to configure on this file name.conf.local file. okay. So before that, we will just cat name.conf file. okay. So in the conf file we have to make some configuration. So basically this is the main configuration file of DNS server, the bind name.conf file. okay. So in this configuration file here, you can see if you are adding zones, please do that in etc name.conf.local file. okay. So we'll just create zones, the forward zone and reverse zone in this file name.conf.local file. okay. So I'll just nano sudo etc bind name.conf.local file. okay. So in this, basically you have to open this file etc bind name.conf.local. Okay, so in this file we will create zones. Okay, so here I am creating zone with example.com. so here you have to give the domain name from which you are creating the domain name. Like I'm creating with example.com. if you are creating with another domain name, so here you have to give the domain name. Okay, and then in is for internet, and then you have to give type is master, because we are creating a master DNS server. And then file, here you have to give the file of the forward zone. Okay, so the file will be in etc pinned, and then the file name I'll give it as forward.example.com. you can give any name to the file. Okay, but it must exist in etc/bind. Okay, and now I'll create another zone. And while creating zone, my IP, I'll show you, you have to give your IP address in reverse order. So here my IP address is 172.251.11. Okay, so you have to give your IP address in reverse order, and you have to not need to give the last one. Okay, so what you have to do is, I'll give my IP address in reverse order. 172.251.11 is my IP address in reverse order I have to give, but I not need to give the network, the last one. Okay, just I'll give 172.25.1. okay, in the reverse order. Here you can see 1.25.172.in-addr.arpa. okay, and after that in for internet, and then type is master, and file, the river zone file will be in etc bind. And similarly you can give any name to the file. I am giving reverse.example.com. okay, you can give any name to the file. Okay, but it must be exist in etc bind. Okay, so these are the two zones which you have to give in etc bind name.conf.local file. Okay, basically we are in name.conf.file local file, and we have to create these two zones. Okay, just write and quit from this file. And now what I'll do is, we have few files, db.local. I'll just copy their files db.local. okay, because we need the similar configuration. Sudo db.local, sorry, sudo cp db.local to forward.example.com. okay, now I'll just edit this file using the nano text editor. Sudo nano bind forward.example.com. okay, so in this file, first of all, after the SOA, the start of authority, you have to give your host name. So here I have a host name of server.example.com. so here I'll give my host name. Okay, and after giving your host name, you have to give a dot. Okay, here dot acts as a delimiter. Okay, so you have to give a dot. After that, root, then you have to give your host name again, server.example.com, and after that dot. After com, you have to give a dot. Okay, giving dot is mandatory. Okay, and after here you have to give in is for internet, ns is for name server, and the name server we are going to create is example.com, server.example.com, and after com you have to give a dot. And it after that it is asking in a, and here you have to give your IP address, the server IP address. Okay, A is for IPv4 address, and four times A is for the IPv6 address. So we are configuring IPv4 DNS server, so we will not use IPv6 address. Okay, so now first we are going to create names for our name server. The first name which I am going to create is server, and I'll give an IP address, the IP address of that, and I'll give one more name to the server, which will be host. Okay, now I'll create two names for our client. Okay, so I'll give one name as client, and the client IP address. So my client IP address is this. Okay, so here you have to give your client IP address, and here you have to give the name from which you have to call your your client. Okay, so I'm giving a name as client, and my the client IP address, and I'll give one more name to my client. I will give it as www. Okay, so this is the configuration in the forward.example.com file. Okay, which is in etc bin forward.example.com file. So this is the main configuration. Okay, so I'll just write and quit from this file. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll just copy the forward.example.com file to reverse.example.com file to save our time, because the configuration is similar. I'll just nano file reverse.example.com, and over here you have to make few changes. Instead, in the second line, instead of a, you have to give ptr, which is pointer, on which the point it is pointing. It is pointing to the domain which is example.com. Okay, this is the configuration file of reverse.example.com, and here you have to give your IP address, the back IP address. Okay, from 11, the server IP address is 11, and it is pointing to ptr, which is pointing. Ptr is for pointing. You have to give, it is pointing to server.example.com. And similarly for client, I'll give the client IP address, the last the last bit of the client IP address, and then IN is for internet and PTR is for pointer, and then client.example.com. Okay, and make sure you give dot after that. Okay, now I'll just write and quit from this file. The server reverse.example file zone configuration is now complete. Okay, now we'll check our configurations, whether our configurations are right or not. Okay, so for that you can run this command, sudo named check conf -z etc named .conf etc bind name.conf. So here you can see it is showing loaded serial 2, loaded serial 1. It means our configuration is right. If there would be an error in our configuration, then it will show an error, and then you have to go to that file and make changes to that file, so that it must not show any error. Okay, so make sure that you don't have any error at this stage, or you have to go to that file and make changes. Go to name.conf.local file. Okay, you have to go to this file name.conf.local. okay, and make some changes. Okay, means like it will show if you have made any syntax error or what you have done. Okay, and similarly for that zones, we can run this command name check zone forward etc bind, and then forward.example.com is one of our zone. And the forward zone, here you can see loaded serial 2 means the configuration file is right. Okay, if there would be any error, then it would be prompted over here. Okay, similarly we'll check for reverse zone. So here you can see loaded serial 2 and it's showing okay, means the syntax is okay. So our configuration files are okay, zone files are okay. So now we are we can start the service of bind, which is bind 9. Okay, make sure these all the configuration files are right. Okay, if you have any error, then just go to that file and make correct that error. Okay, now I'll just restart the service systemctl start bind 9. Okay, service has been started. If there would be any error, means if there would be error, then you have to check your configuration files. Okay, before starting the service, one more thing I forgot to tell you, which is you have to change the ownership of the files. Okay, see, you have to run this command sudo chown -r bind etc bind. Okay, it will change the ownership of the files to bind. Okay, username bind and group also bind. Okay, and you have to change the permission chmod 7555 to etc bind. Okay. Okay, now I'll just restart the service. Okay, now I'll check the status whether the service is working or not. So it is working and it is enabled also. If the service is not enabled, then you have to run this command systemctl enable bind9. Okay, currently my UFW, the firewall, is off, is inactive. Okay, if your UFW, your firewall is active, then what you have to do is you have to run this command sudo UFW allow bind9. Okay, if your firewall UFW is active, then only you have to run this command sudo UFW allow bind9. If it is active, if it is not active, if the status shows inactive, then you have to not to run this command. Okay, so here my status is inactive, I will not execute this command. Okay, so after the configuration is complete, now we'll check our DNS server is working or not. So before that, I'll go to sudo nano etc network configuration files, which is in etc network interfaces, and here I'll give DNS search example.com. Okay, so here you have to give your domain name and then give DNS name servers your server IP address. Okay, 1.11 the server IP address, and write and quit from this file. And now I'll just restart the service, restart networking. It is asking for password. I give the password, and now you have to go to a file, resolve.conf file, where we can give the name server name sudo nano /etc resolve.conf file, sorry, resolve.conf. Okay, so in this file you have to give the name server name. So here I'll give the name server, which is 172.25.1.11, and search. Here you have to give your domain name example.com. Okay, first of all, you have to, in the resolve.conf file, you have to give name server name, the IP address of your DNS server, and then the domain name. Okay, so write and quit from this file, and now we'll just restart the networking service again. Okay, the service has been restarted successfully, and we will restart the network manager also. Network manager service, which is network manager. Okay, so the authentication has been complete, means both the services has been active. You have to just restart two services after making changes in the interface file and network interface file and in the resolve.conf file. You have to just restart the networking service, and you have to restart the network manager. Now we'll try to ping, okay, whether we are getting ping or not. I'll first of all try to ping server. So I'm getting ping from server. Okay, so we have configured a name with server, that's why we are getting ping. Now I'll try to ping host. I've given a name to this a host also. So here you can see I'm getting ping from the host also. So means our DNS server at server side is working fine. Okay, so to check whether the DNS is working on fine or not, you can just ping also, and you can do this one more thing is also, which is nslookup server. So it will show the name server. The name server is server.example.com, and it is showing the address. Okay, if it is showing this detail, means your DNS server has been configured very well. Okay, Similarly for host you can check. Similarly for client, so it means if you will give anything wrong, so it will show server cannot find client to server fails, means this and this name does not exist in the DNS server. Okay, if you will give a wrong name, okay, if for checking, if you give a wrong name, then it will show server cannot find the name which you have given, means server fail, it will show. Okay, now I'll go to the client side and make some configuration at the client side, so the client can also access our DNS server. Okay, at the client side, first of all you have to configure the network interface. Okay, I've configured the network interface. Before that, I'll run this command IPA to check the NIC name. So the network interface card here also I have ENS3. Okay, so I'll make changes to this network interface card. Okay, and host name, I have host name client.example.com. so at the client side your suffix in the host name must be example.com. okay, it is not necessary, but you must have the suffix as example.com in the host name. Okay, now I'll show you my the network interface file. So here you can see I've given the parameters. My address here is 172.168.1.12 and the net mask, and then the DNS search which is example.com, and the DNS name server name. Okay, and one more thing, make sure the client and server are in network. Okay, to check whether you are in network, just try to ping the IP address of the server. Okay, server address of IP address of server is this one. Okay, so I'm getting ping, means we are in network. If you are not in network, then your DNS server will not work. Okay, so make sure you are in a network. Okay, now we will go to nano, the resolve.conf file. And inside this file you have to give the name server, which is 172.251.11, the server IP address, and search example.com. Okay, and now just write and quit from the file. Now we have to enable services, systemctl, restart networking. Systemctl restart networking and systemctl restart network manager. So the services have been restarted successfully. Now I'll try to ping server. It is showing. Okay, I think the resolve.configuration file. Okay, I have not opened it with sudo, that's why the file was not saved. Sorry for that. Basically at the client side you have to make changes to this name server, sorry, the resolve.conf file. Okay, okay, now I'll again restart the networking service and the network manager, and now I'll try to ping server. So I'm getting ping from the DNS name server. Okay, so we are getting ping, and now I'll try to ping host. We are getting ping from host also. Now I'll try to ping client. We are getting ping from client also. Now we'll try to ping www. We are getting ping for www also, and now I'll try to ping www2. We are not getting ping because www2 does not exist in the DNS server configuration. Okay, now I'll run this command nslookup and I'll find server. So here you can see in the name means the name server. Okay, and the address IP address means our configuration is right. Here you can see the server IP address. Okay, so we have completed with the DNS server configuration, complete server side and client side. So thank you guys for watching this video. Do like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more amazing tutorials.